And good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here on the Highliner Activity Network. Back after a few weeks off and ready now for the winter sports season as practices have been going for a couple of weeks and they are ready to get going in games here in a little bit. We're going to kick things off with the Highliner boys basketball. Coach Jim McDaniel joining us. How you doing, Coach?
Pretty good.
Ready to get the season started?
Yep, we're after it now. Yep.
But it's going to be. You're going to have kind of a weird schedule here, but things get started but next week will be the first game.
Tuesday. Yep. We're at home. Devils Lake's coming. They're going to be solid. Yep. Returning state champs,
Yep.
and they lost some guys, but they're going to be a powerhouse. So.
Is that a good type game to start off the season just to see where you're at, or would you have rather started a little bit different?
I don't know. The talk is always playing Devils Lake right now. Both girls and boys are good teams, and we've had to play them over the years. What if we played somebody different? I'm good with it. It's going to be a challenge for us just because we know what they got coming back, and we know that they're solid. So it'll be a good test. I think last year we started out, we had Kindred, Castleton, and Devils Lake to start our season off last year, which was, solid. Mm-hmm. This year with Devils Lake, we don't have it quite. We got a few more spaces in between games where last year it was like one right after the other to start us off. So no, I'm ready for the challenge. The guys are ready for the challenge. I'm glad we're here and not going there. We did that last year. I had to go there, I think the community is excited to watch some boys basketball again.
And, a lot of kids back from last year's squad. You did graduate, 3 seniors, I think, but still a good core of kids part of last year's team.
Yes. Yeah, we 4 starters, we lost graduation. Good, good leaders, things like that. But we had a solid JV last year. Bryson was a starter last year back. Jack D came off the bench a lot. And then our guys that were playing JV last year, that was competitive all year last year. So those guys have moved up, and I look for much of the same this year as we had last year. Very competitive. I think we can push at the end of the season, and should be fun.
And good athletes too. You got kids that can run the floor and do a lot of different things.
Yeah. The guys that are going to be on the floor, they can play ball. They can shoot. They're in good shape. They can play defense. And they're excited to play. They like the game too. So that makes it fun. They want to learn the game. They want to play it the right way. And it's fun to be back playing.
Is this team going to be one where it's as far as teams that would have to defend you? It's pick your poison because you guys are going to have post presence. You're going to have an inside, outside presence. Is this going to be a tough team to defend?
I think it can be because we got Jack D's 6'7", so that's a problem. Jack Samuelson rebounds well. Mm-hmm. Tegan Zahn isn't as tall. He rebounds well, but then you got Bryson and Mikan and Finn can shoot from the outside. Andrew Sikora, he works hard and he gets. We got guys that can score. We got tall guys. We got shooters from the outside. I think we can kind of run all aspects a little bit, and so we want to stay out of foul trouble and that kind of stuff. But I think we can pressure D at times too. So. I think if we're shooting well and we're getting good inside play, we're going to be a real tough team.
And rebounding is going to be key. If you're going to want to push the ball, you got to get that rebound. And I think with the post presence we just talked about, you're going to have guys that are going to be able to get that ball and get it to the outlet and start that break.
Yes, yeah. We can push the floor, and I'm a guy that doesn't like our post players having to handle the ball very much, but we got a lot of guys that can handle the ball, so I don't think our big guys need to. So they can get down. I think we can push the ball, and I don't think pressure should bother us a whole lot. It might early in the year because we're just getting into our press breaker and all that, and we're you gotta. It's going to be a little rough, right off the bat as we get back in the gym. But I don't think pressure is going to be a problem because we got enough guys that can handle the ball.
And it looks like to me with guys like Mikan and Bryson and Finn and just the ones you mentioned, the Jacks,
Yep.
the two Jacks, good basketball IQs too. These guys know the sport.
Yes, yeah. They know the sport. They understand what we're trying to do. That there's a purpose for things. And yeah, they play the game. They're skilled at what they're doing, and they also understand how the game of basketball is supposed to work.
You and Coach Lentz, second year back. Is second year going to be easier than the first?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's last year was really, the thing that makes it a little easier is some of the things that we had put out, kind of the behind the scenes stuff is your practice schedules and all that kind of stuff, and some of the paperwork stuff. That's all saved on my computer, So
there you go.
So some of that stuff is a little easier. I just can instead of create it, I just cut and paste now a little bit. So some of those things. So yeah, both Mike and I were excited to get back. The guys have been excited, from way back, with open gyms and stuff. They want to get going way earlier than I probably let them. And part of that is, we start here in December. Hopefully we're still doing this in March. It's a long season. There's no, it's long. We don't need to get started before it starts, and then at the end we kind of run out of gas. Last year I thought we finished the year as strong as any time of the season, and that's the focus.
Yeah.
And so to me, starting early when we got this long stretch of December, January, February, most of March. That's a lot of basketball. So be patient. We'll get started, and here we are.
And same with the fans, because the games are few and far between up until after the first of the year. There's a lot of spacing.
Yeah, right now as we get going, we got a lot of practice. We'll get a game on Tuesday. Then we have the shootout here at home, but we're only playing one of those games, and again, that's part of, you can only play 21 in a season.
Yeah.
So we're playing one in our own shootout here. Than the Barnes County tournament, and it won't be until January where we start playing that, everybody in our region, and we're starting to play for the conference and all that. So, it's good to get going, but it's not. It's a little space. Christmas break throws it off too.
It does.
I mean, it just does. It's hard to schedule with Christmas in there. So, no, it'll be good for us for the fact that I think when we hit January, a lot of our stuff will be in. We'll have had a lot of practice time to get, some of those things perfected. And so we won't have to do it right in the midst of games. We can maybe have some of the special trigger plays and things like that are already in. So,
any expectations with this team, Jim?
I would like, I think this team my expectations are the same as what we had last year. We got to get to that. We got to get to that qualifying game. I mean, that's an exciting game to be a part of. It worked in our favor last year, but that's the game you got to get. If we can, win the region, I'll sure take that.
Right.
But we got to get to that regional championship game, or we got to get to where we're qualifying for that, that region qualifier game. That's the goal, and then. If we've done everything right, we win that game, and then we're right where we want to be. This team can do exactly the same thing last year's team did. They really can. I mean, we're as talented as we were last year.
So. A high ceiling.
Yes. Yep. And that's the goal. I think we have guys that can play that year in, year out. We can be in that in those games so that we're pushing for a state tournament year in, year out. Right now, I think the favorite is going to be Kindred in our region, and I think the favorite in Region 2 is going to be Devil's Lake. I think you could ask any of the coaches in the state of North Dakota, that's who they're going to pick.
Right.
And so I can give them that. I got a lot of respect for both those teams. They're both talented teams. I think we are right there. I think we have a chance to upset those teams. But we can't worry about that. Let's get to the games we need to get to.
Yep. First things first, Devil's Lake on Tuesday night.
That's right.
Right here at the Hack.
Yep, should be a fun one. Guys are ready to go, and yeah, come out. Let's get the season started.
Sounds great, Jim. Appreciate it joining us, and we'll talk again.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Coach Jim McDaniel joining us from the Highlander boys basketball again next Tuesday. It all starts with the Devils Lake Fighting Firebirds here at the Hack. We'll be back with more Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. And welcome back to another edition of Coach's Corner here on the Highlander Activity Network in our basketball mode and our gym mode today. And Jimmy Howard, head coach of the Highlander girls, joined us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
How you doing on this fine morning?
Excited to play another game.
Oh, yes. Well, game one under your in the books against South Border at the BCT on Tuesday. Surprised at maybe the shooting. I mean, you guys shot, 14 of 25 from three-point range. Surprised at the way you shot, how well you shot that first game?
Yeah, we have a lot of kids that have put time in, and then we've been doing a lot of shooting, and knowing we have some kids that were coming up, freshmen, that were good shooters, but to shoot over 50% from three in the first game in a gym we haven't shot in, I was quite surprised at how efficient we were from there. But I wasn't going to tell them to stop taking them, and just trying to get on a roll. But once somebody starts making, and you start feeling comfortable, and you start feeling loose, then everyone starts. And it's same with missing. Like if you make them, it can become contagious. And we just had a bunch of kids that took opportunities on great ball movement for open threes, and we happened to be making them that night. And that really helps, and hopefully boosts some confidence heading into games.
One thing I noticed with your team too is your bench. You're gonna have a really strong bench this year. So I mean, you had 40-something points, I think, or something like that off the bench on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit deeper than we have been in previous years, and just depending on the game and who we're playing, different kids should be able to step in and help. Chances of playing all 14 kids when everyone's healthy in here probably doesn't happen every game, but the opportunity to get everybody in a game, you got to take it and see where kids kind of fit and where they are in games, because some kids are really good at practice and really good at games. Some kids are not as good at practice, but they're gamers and they show up. And so trying to figure out who those kids are and where they fit. And so it was really nice to be able to play everybody and just see how they all work together. And I think we're going to be able to play deeper this year, and I think we're going to be able to use different kids in different situations.
Similar to what we were just talking about with Coach McDaniel, your team's going to be tough to defend because you got the outside presence, you got an inside presence. It looks like you're going to have a strength in both areas.
Yeah, the freshmen coming up have really bolstered some of that. Having two posts that are very similar is really going to help in the season. You can bring one out and keep the other one in, or they sub with each other, and not every team is going to have somebody that can guard both of them. And so I think that's going to give us an advantage. And if we can continue to shoot from the perimeter as well, maybe not as well as we did, but at a nice clip, we force teams to stay spread out on the perimeter and be honest with that, which is going to give our posts more one-on-one looks inside. And I like their odds and their one-on-one.
How about you're on a little bit bigger floor, so at the end of the game, did you feel that they were in good shape, conditionally-wise? Yeah,
there were a couple of times I was like, we're a little gassed, but, and it's hard to tell when we were subbing the way we were that game and able to get kids in. But I think, we've had 3 weeks of practice before a game. We've done a lot of conditioning. We've pushed them. And I don't want to say it's been harder these 3 weeks on the kids, but we've held them to a little bit higher standard. They've recognized some of that stuff, and they're holding themselves accountable to some of that. And so we've had some really intense, good practices. And just like anything else with high school kids, in 3 weeks of no games, we've had some practices where we're going, it's time to get out of the gym and go play somebody. So Tuesday was just like we needed to go play. And I think there's a lot of kids excited about it. And I think we just kind of unleashed 3 weeks of sitting in here going at each other. Now we get to play somebody else.
Well, now tonight in the semifinals, Maple River, just like in any tournament, the next game is going to be a little bit tougher than the last game because you're playing a team that's coming off a win and playing well. Maple River, another team that's got an inside-outside presence. How do you go up against the Raiders?
Absolutely. We've seen them a lot at Summer League. We're at the same Summer League. A lot of respect for their program. Hopefully Carly's healthy. We'd like to play him at full strength. But we know what we need to do and how to kind of defend them or how we want to defend them. And it's worked for us in some times and it hasn't, and so we'll have to make adjustments on what they're adjusting to. But yes, we have to keep handing off the boards. We've got to try to keep Violet in check and then contest shooters when we do collapse on things and try to make it as difficult as possible. But we can't let them get second and third shot opportunities with handing inside, rebounding, and we can't be fouling. And that was kind of an issue on Monday. Or Tuesday, sorry. We had first quarter, third quarter, I think we had way too many fouls. Yeah. And so really honing in on that.
And I think you wasted all your good shots behind the three-point line because at the free throw line, it was not there.
No, and we've been shooting free throws, at practice every day, and the first 2 weeks pretty good. And Monday we noticed a couple kids that just like all of a sudden we weren't, and then it kind of carried over into the game. And hopefully we can fix that throughout the season here and just get the confidence back at the free throw line, because they're good free throw shooters, those that were missing them, and I don't expect us to be that poor from the free throw line every night, just like I don't expect us to be that good from the 3-point line every night. But we did what we wanted to do on Tuesday. We pounded the glass. We want to own the boards, and we wanted to limit our turnovers and try to force a bunch, and we did. And that leads you to great opportunities for scoring and for the chance to win.
And I think the Raiders are similar too. They are very good at turning defense into offense as well, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going to have to make sure we take care of the ball. The opponent's going to be much better than who we saw in the first round. I think they're third or fourth in state right now in Class B, and so they're a very good team. We cannot allow the turnovers and let anyone start building some confidence, because once you've built that confidence, it's hard to keep them from scoring. And so we need to make it as difficult as possible, and we need to take care of the basketball.
Good excitement, though. I mean, the girls just excited to not only to play, but see who they're playing on the other side tonight.
Yeah, a lot of friends, some family.
Yep.
Between the two towns. Like I said, we played each other at Summer League. I have a lot of respect for their program and what they're doing there, and the players over there. And I think it's going to be a fun game. One of the players said it feels like it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing, because we haven't been able to schedule each other, and we're 15 miles, 20 miles apart, and I think it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. I think it's going to be packed in there, and it should be a really good game. Well,
it'll be the 7:30 game tonight, scheduled for 7:30, depending on how the other three games go. But 7:30 tonight at the Bubble, at the Barnes County Tournament. And I guess final question, I don't know if I think I did ask you this last time about the expectations. There's some high expectations for this team, isn't there?
Yeah, we want to set high expectations. We want a goal to reach. We want a bar to reach, and we want to keep pushing towards it. And so the girls have recognized that. Normally, coach comes in, they'll set, like, here's what we're doing, this, and this. And I think I've talked about it enough that now we can sit down and I can be like, all right, girls, what are we about? And they'll be like, this, and it's the same things. Last game I said, okay, steals, what do we want for the end of the game? What are we looking at as a good number for us? I have a number in my head, but I want to see what they think. And they came up with a number that was right kind of where I was at. So I think the bar has been set not only by the coaching staff, but I think the girls have accepted it and are starting to set that bar for themselves. And when a team starts doing that, only good things can really happen. So we don't want to be playing at our absolute peak now.
Right.
And so we can learn from setbacks, we can learn from different things, but ultimately trying to continue to reach that bar, and hopefully it'll help push us to where we want to go at the end of the season.
All right, well, we will see you tonight. Should be a fun one at the Bubble, and good luck here. We'll talk to you tonight then.
Thank you, and go Highlanders.
That's Coach Jimmy Howard joining us from Highlander Girls Basketball, back with more Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network, and coming up here next week, just a reminder of what we've got on the docket. Of course, we were talking with Coach McDaniel, boys basketball on Tuesday night with junior varsity and varsity, and of course we'll have all that live here on the Highlander Activity Network. And then next weekend on Friday and Saturday, it's a Highlander Holiday Wrestling Tournament. The girls will go on Friday night, starting 2:30 Friday afternoon, and then the boys all day on Saturday, and of course we'll have coverage of that as well, with play-by-play of the Highlander matches and video streaming of some of the other matches going on next week for the Highlander Boys and Girls Holiday Wrestling tournaments, and that will be what's coming up on the air. Of course, we'll have Coach's Corner next week. I'll probably take a couple weeks off for the holidays, maybe give Rain the holidays off after next week, but we will see you on Tuesday. Now, just a reminder of some other things that are going on with Highlander activities. Of course, wrestling, speaking of wrestling, they were at the Dan Unruh Invitational last week, and the girls had a couple of champions. Also, the boys had one champion, Nicole Griebel, and JV wrestling did pretty well as for the boys, as they had 3 champions in the wrestling there. The girls had 3, the boys had 1, and then the JV boys had 3 wrestling champs. And we'll talk more wrestling next week, because we're going to be getting into a little bit busier time for wrestling, and we will talk Highlander wrestling on next week's Coach's Corner. And, of course, and now it's a couple of news items for Highlander activities. Yesterday, right here at the Hack, Greta Govan, she signed her letter of intent, and she's going to be running cross-country and track for the University of Jamestown. So I want to congratulate Greta on getting that out of the way now, and now she can just focus on her senior season, but she will be a Jimmy next year running cross-country, and she told me probably running the 800 in track, but you don't know until you get there what the coaches have in store for you. And also a couple other notes of Highlander activities, and we learned about this a few weeks back when Coach Deb Bilkey was here, but she is resigning and retiring as coach of Highlander cross country. And Travis Engen also will be stepping down as the head coach of the Highlander football team. So next fall, a lot of new faces here around Valley City in the football program and cross country. And both Travis and Deb stepping down here this week as coaches for Highlander football and cross country respectively. We wish them a lot of luck. And of course, Travis, a couple years as head coach, was with the program a couple, 2-3 years prior to that. Deb Bilkey, of course, 44 years coaching multiple sports. And so she is stepping down as a cross-country head coach. And I'm sure we'll see him around those events, but just not on the sidelines. I want to wish them lots of luck as they move on in their next endeavors. Well, that's going to wrap things up here for this week's edition of Coach's Corner. Again, thanks to our guests here tonight, Jim McDaniel and Jimmy Howard, and of course Brian Krewald, our executive director, and our camera operator, technical director this morning, Ray Nelson. And as usual, we want to thank you for joining us. And don't forget, find us on YouTube. If you know where to find us, tell all your friends and family where they can watch Highlander activities. Go to YouTube. You just search Valley City Highlander activities, and we have a list and our schedule on there. Past events, Christmas concerts. If you maybe missed the Christmas concerts we have, we'll have those on there as well. So a lot of things you can find on our YouTube channel. Again, just search Valley City Highlander activities, and you can enjoy events live, or you can watch them on demand. That's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of Coach's Corner. We'll be back next Thursday, 7:30, right here at the Hack for another edition of Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network.